On this episode of Mwah TV, I'm sharing some fun, creative inspo. I asked a couple of my photographer pals from around the world to interpret some COVID-19 photography themes so that we could see how each of us would create and visualize during the lockdown period. Come and see what we've all created in my first ever Creative Contagion challenge. You should definitely think about subscribing to Mwah TV today if you want to be regularly inspired with some creative photography to help you and your business. You can do that right here, right now. If you've been wondering how you can react in a creative way to the COVID-19 virus pandemic that's affecting all of our lives right now, then by the end of this episode, you're going to see how 4 very different photographers have approached the same theme with our various different photography styles, myself included. I've had my own photography business now for 8 years, and I've worked in the photography industry for 10 years. Creating this episode has really given me something positive to focus on instead of letting my anxiety get the better of me right now. And it's really been fun, actually. I've really enjoyed being able to just let loose and be a little bit crazy with my camera and really have fun with photography again, which is quite a change to the usual crazy schedule that I have. Let's begin then with some introductions. Meet George.
Hi, I'm George Demanis, world famous event speaker, concierge photographer. I'm a New York-based photographer. I do a lot of events, content portraits for speakers and conference attendees, and I also do a lot of family photography, lifestyle-based sort of stuff here in New York. Before the United States got hit with COVID-19, I had I would probably say about $30,000 in potential pipeline revenue. And then what ended up happening is the conferences started getting canceled. You can't be an event photographer when there are no events to photograph. So this has been a pretty substantial hit to my business. And I'm taking the time right now to focus on my infrastructure, to redo my website, redo my portfolio, and come up with a marketing strategy that's going to enhance my business once this is complete. And hopefully that's sooner than later.
Now meet Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue Todd. My business is Sue Todd Photography. I create beautiful, on-brand images that people want to eat for the food and hospitality industry. I was looking forward to my best year ever this year until Covid-19 came along and wiped the diary clean. I'm based near Morpeth in Northumberland.
And here's Billy.
Just got to keep it short. That's all. Just keep it short. Hello, my name is Phil Flores, and I did not just spend an hour setting up this shot. I am a multimedia producer for Trail 77 Media. I make photographs, videos, and graphic design elements for you. And amid the coronavirus, business has come to a standstill. It's really tragic, and I'm hopeful for a turnaround here in the next couple months. The majority of my work actually stems within photography, and the majority of my photography is my family, because I'm a part owner of my own business. I'm actually home a lot with my kids who are still young, and so in that vein, the virus hasn't really impacted maybe the majority of the work that I create. This is how I practice my trade. And the kids are used to it, my wife's used to it, and it's good times. So I'm here to share 3 photographs with you. I hope that you enjoy them. Thanks for having me. Let's get started.
Hey, I'm Laura, and my business is Laura Pearman Photography. I shoot career-defining headshots for ambitious business owners all over the world. I had 15K in my pipeline just before COVID-19 hit my hometown. I'm based in South Tyneside, which is in the northeast of the UK. Sure, we've all been pretty gutted by this, and I am certainly not ashamed to say that I shed a couple of tears when I realized just how much of an impact all of this was going to have on the overall strength of my business. So a rough tally on the calculator and the currency converter shows that our combined business losses come in at £76,000 or $94,000. Flashback a couple of weeks ago then, and I took part in the Atomic Boardroom meeting, which is part of their online business membership, where we had all kind of agreed to gather and talk about how freaked out we were all by this. While that conversation was happening officially in the boardroom, me and George got into a little bit of a private DM exchange. George and I were joking about how bummed we were, and I said, let's just put a positive spin on this and think of the funny side to all of this, and why don't we just collaborate remotely right now anyway? And in that conversation, I literally came up with these 3 themes off the top of my head. The first thing that naturally came to my mind was, I can't really photograph anything, so all I can do as a photographer is sit at home and clean all my camera equipment. So I suggested that we make that theme number 1. George named it Cleaning Our Glass. Canned goods. At the time that we were talking in our private conversation, we both had noticed that people had started to really start panic buying in the UK and in America compared to all of the other countries in the world. So we thought that this canned goods theme would be quite a funny one. Then, because I was feeling a little bit blue, the last theme is simply called the apocalypse. A very big theme with lots of potential for lots of different types of creativity packed into it. George and I agreed that we should make this a little bit more of a bigger event as well. We knew more photographers who were in the exact same boat as us. So I invited Sue Todd, who is local. She is in the NatWest Accelerator program with me in the Newcastle hub. And George then invited Philip, who he knows, over in the US, but he is on the West Coast. Everyone was given the same assignment and we all agreed we'd go off and shoot. Before I show you all of the work, this is my busker moment. So this is where I'm putting on my street performer hat before the big trick. This is where I ask you to put some coins in the hat. So every single one of us involved in this collab has put together something that you can do to support us right now online. And all of the links to how you can do that are in the show notes down here. On behalf of this Creative Contagion crew, we thank you all so very much. Let's get into what we created. Theme number 1 is cleaning glass. What did you do, George?
So with photography in general just being brought to a standstill, there's really not much else to do but set yourself up for success after this is complete, after this pandemic is finished. So one of those things is cleaning our gear, making sure that our gear is ready to go. And I've been shooting in black and white throughout this entire quarantine. I've been shooting my family, how it's affected us, how my children are reacting to being at home with both of their parents 24/7 without seeing any of their friends or cousins, grandparents, aunts and uncles. So I just find that there's something very pure about black and white. I'm a color guy. The Nikon Z7 has some of the most phenomenal color science behind it. The colors are just they're incredible. But there's something so amazing about black and white with regards to how this situation has been evolving. So by shooting in black and white, what I'm doing is I'm stripping away the color, the distractions, the saturation, anything that's going to draw your eye away from the subject itself. And that subject is just simply me sitting at a table, polishing my lenses and waiting to put them to work again.
And Sue, let's see what you created.
So the first image in the series is for theme 1. All my work got cancelled, so I'm at home cleaning my glass. In a time of so much upset, I wanted to have some fun, and while I could have staged this in the studio, we had some nice weather and I thought it'd be rather fun to play in the garden. I was doing this on a Sunday and I had in mind an English lady, in my case a rather eccentric one in the making perhaps, cleaning a glass over cocktails in the garden, because why not? Cocktails are so much more fun if they're shared, so I thought 2 me's were in order, and given the strangeness of this current time, evening dress with sun hat seemed totally appropriate, but to give it the more eccentric flavour I was after, I swapped strappy sandals for more appropriate footwear, and I think the pink Crocs were just the perfect finishing touch. And of course, that lovely orange pashmina contrasts so wildly with the pink. While it's great to get shot right in camera, there's many times when it's just not possible and you have to use Photoshop. And as a photographer for the food and hospitality industry, I spend many hours using Lightroom and Photoshop to ensure the end results exceed client expectations. The 2 images I took for this were combined in Photoshop after adjustments in Lightroom to create the one final image. And the gin cocktails went down a treat when we finally wrapped up the series.
Over to you, Philip.
Okay, this first one is the, all my work got canceled, so I'm at home cleaning my glass theme, which is kind of funny. So I'm actually the person there sitting on the floor, and my kids were literally running in circles around me in this photograph. There's a lot going on. We just bought a home that's like 70 years old, and I'm renovating it. So there's walls that you can see in the corner over there on the right that are like, partially broken and stuff. It was important that I document my life so far here in this one photograph I love, because it does a really good job at that. Being a stay-at-home parent, which I am, it can be really difficult to be a productive adult, and then at the same time be a loving, fostering human being for your children growing up. And my 2 young kiddos, they need, a ton of attention and love, and I was actually interested in seeing if they would still be crazy if I just put my camera in front of, the room and then sat in the middle of the room, and they did, and it was awesome.
And last but not least, a free-falling Mary Poppins meets hysterical suspension. If you haven't heard me say this before, I am strangely compelled by the 1950s idea of what it is to be a woman, and the consistent portrayal in that time of women as airheaded beings who feel this innate hysterical joy about menial tasks and standards imposed upon them by a male-dominated culture. I find that, mixed together with the disillusion that women were always predisposed to be these hysterical, childish beings, is something that I never tire of mocking in my personal work, and actually I try carefully to weave it into the appearance of my personal brand as a photographer too. So here I am, flying through time without any grounding or any familiar gravity, surrounded by all the tools that I usually have under my control, but instead they're flying around me in this crazy whirlwind. And then of course, I'm cleaning my glass with a vintage duster in a moment of this hysterical housewifeliness. I wanted to give you a zoomed out bird's eye view of how it feels right now to be a photographer. This is my expression of real anxiety juxtaposed with hyped colour, a well-styled outfit, and the fragile veil of domesticity. Be sure to let us know in the comments below which cleaning glass themed photo was your favourite and why. Here's my fave. Fab work, George. There is a lovely ominous tone underneath this piece for me. I found it really masculine too. A man preparing his tools. Really great job and excellent use of black and white. Theme number 2 is canned goods. Show us what you got, George.
Yeah, so this is a fun one, and this is the only color photo that I've shot in the last 2-3 weeks. The majority of the photos that I've been taking have been black and white for the purpose of stripping away color, vibrance, enjoyment. I mean, I'm enjoying black and white, so don't get me wrong, but I just felt that when I converted this shot to black and white, it lost something. And this is just sort of me having fun again with my camera. I shot this with one of my son's toys, my son Chris's Hulk toy, and I originally set the shot up. So we got a shipment of groceries. We've been doing mail order groceries because of the pandemic, and no one's going out shopping. So we got a shipment of groceries, and it came with some dry ice. And I thought, hey, let me put the dry ice in some water and create fog and have it cascade down the can throughout the cans, and it would be epic. We had this nice cloudy day. There was a good soft light, and I set up all the cans, and I put the dry ice inside of water, and they're hidden behind the cans, and then the sun pokes through the clouds for about 2 hours, and like you just couldn't see any of the fog, and the dry ice melted so fast it just didn't work. So what do? I promised my son that we'd go out and we'd have fun taking photos of his toys. So I had his toys, and I had Hulk come in there and smash. There we have it. Here's that shot. You know, and I like it. It's just a really fun and playful take on canned goods. It's a melding of preparation with exuberance, youthfulness.
Over to you, Sue.
Theme 2 is canned goods, and this wasn't an easy one. As a food photographer, I often have to set up a scene and take multiple shots focused in different places in the same scene. These are then merged together in Photoshop to give an image that is focused from front to back. Once you get in close, the depth of field you have to work with becomes very shallow, no matter what your settings are, so this is something I have to use quite a bit. And I wanted to use that in this theme. So I thought of a few possibilities before this one became an obvious solution, and I decided to put my kit in a can. Strange times, so why on earth not? So I set up the empty can, which I already had to hand in the studio. I'm so pleased the studio is at home. Then I placed beans to each side with lighting above and beneath the tins. I then took a series of images, one focused on the very top rim of the tin, one midway inside the tin, one at the base of the tin, and another focused on the beans. These were adjusted in Lightroom before being merged together in Photoshop to get the final tins scene. I needed to change the lens for the next one, and then I took a few shots of my kit before finding the arrangement I wanted. Then I needed to cut them out as they were on a white background, and obviously they're sitting on a tin one now, so I cut them out, and then that was added to the finished tin shot and positioned in place to create canned goods. Hope you like it. I really enjoyed playing around with this one.
What did you shoot, Phil?
Okay, this photograph is obviously this is a little bit more staged. I do want to say I think most of my work, at home around my kids and wife and documenting us and our lives, it's fairly unstaged experiences. I mean, I do the best I can to get out of my own way and let myself be creative. But this was more staged, obviously. And the story behind this photo is that, I'm more worried than my wife is about, food during this crisis and this tragedy, and just being able to take care of ourselves, right? She'll go to the grocery store and buy all the normal stuff, come home, no big deal. Well, the one time that I went grocery shopping, for some reason, I got all the normal stuff, but then I decided, when I was walking down the soup aisle, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get 20 packs of Top Ramen and then we'll be okay. It gave me this sense, this confidence, as long as we had these 20 packs. This 20 packs of Top Ramen is not going to help anybody. It's just funny. It's just hilarious thinking back on it. And I came home and she just started laughing right away at me. And she's like, oh my gosh, Philip, you're losing your mind. And she's right.
And Muggins. It was important for me to make fun of the crazed human behaviour that we've seen as a result of hoarding. And I wanted to do that in a way that personified the cans. I wanted to meld them with the human form. And really what I'm trying to say is, who are we as an evolved species if we hoard vital necessities for our family at home while disregarding the rest of our neighbourhood, our community, and ultimately the wider species? Well, I think that this makes us these devolved troglodytes who have been so brainwashed by commercialism and have become so distrusting of each other as a product of continual negative news spin. Let's face it, give it a couple more decades and we will have become so consumed by our precious things that they will have somehow creepily melded into our very human form being. We'll go around looking like this and saying stuff like, "No, that's mine, not yours," on repeat, till human life as we know it is nothing but a horrible soup of devolved canned good hybrids fighting over the last baked bean. Again, be sure to let us know which was your favourite canned goods submission from this collaboration below in the comments. Theme number 3, the apocalypse. George, what does your apocalypse look like?
We're conditioning this generation of youth, his generation, to avoid people. And it's something that weighs on me daily. He understands why we have to do what we do in order to not get sick. But it doesn't mean that he's gonna be okay. And that's something that really worries me. You know, this piece sort of captures that sense that we're trapped. We're held prisoners within our own home. I mean, granted, I did have the benefit of having a baby gate up. I also have a 10-month-old. But for the most part, you know, Chris is this amazing little boy that does not deserve to be trapped like this.
And Sue, your end of days is?
For theme 3, lockdown, I thought it'd be fun to gather up some things that could be crucial during lockdown, at least to me. The first one is the garden. I feel so blessed that we have one to escape into, so the watering can, trowel and other gardening bits and pieces are there to represent the gardening I'm intending to do. Do note I said intending. There are books, as books are crucial, so I've chosen a gardening book and a food styling book. The image was timed to coincide with the golden hour, which for photographers is really quite special, so that's in there too. I thought I'd better have a loo roll because of all its mentions in the press, so it had to be part of the ensemble really, didn't it? Along with our one and only face mask, which is pretty ancient, and a jar of hand gel, which has also probably seen better days. Despite lockdown, because my studio is here at home with me, I'm still working, so I also have gin, cheese and piccalilli from some fab clients here who I'm still doing work for, namely Durham Distillery, Geordie Gin, Doddington Dairy and Calder's Kitchen. So it's there purely for artistic reasons, although I am looking forward to enjoying it at some point too. The laptop and camera represent the work part of me too. The evening dress, sun hat and wellies are there to demonstrate that no matter how tough things get, you have to look for the good and to create some fun and enjoyment in life wherever you can. Tomorrow isn't a given and we can't go back, so make the most of today.
Philip on the West Coast.
The third theme was the apocalypse or lockdown. And so what I like about photography is I think most of the work that you see, there's much more behind it. There's story behind it. And in this regard, like half of the photo is dark, and I was shooting it through a wall of pill bottles. And that's because prior to this moment, like all three of them were really sick. They had gotten at one point up to like 103 degree temperatures, and that's rare for our family. And also, like, I didn't get sick. I didn't show any symptoms, at least, and that's also really rare. But I like this because for me it was these two perspectives. There's a very dark side of this that is different for all of us, but it's dark. And then there is also a very bright side of this experience. We've seen so many good stories and so many interesting new developments that are positive have come from being stuck together.
And my idea of the apocalypse. When thinking about what the apocalypse looks like to me, I was also trying to tie this in with the idea of how we're all looking right now. And if this is the apocalypse, what would it look like further in the future, if there was a future? How does it all look on a mass scale? And then that led me to thinking about how there's no denying that how we're all looking right now in what we're wearing has been strangely democratized in the last few weeks. We've all collectively started donning these latex gloves. A lot of us are wearing these face masks, and I started thinking about how that could be a prediction of how it's going to work its way into the fashion world. Hopefully there will be no apocalypse, and potentially this could really happen. So here you can see my beloved Viking Tom styling out his streetwear combined with a beard mask on a desolate apocalyptic beachscape. We've been toying around in the last week while I've been pulling this episode together for fun voiceovers to match the shot. So here's an idea for a fragrance line. Odin's apocalypse, pour om, slay the infected. Or what about this for a fashion line? Latex Lux, the new apocalypse menswear collection brought to you by the United Nations. Spring-Summer 2020 collection. Wear it, survive. And that's how nutty it's getting in my household these days. And again, be sure to let us know in the comments below who your favourite apocalypse photo was by and why it's your favourite photo. This one's my fave. Well done, Philip. I really like this one best. The composition is exactly bang on with your narrative. The light meets the dark times. Beautifully shot, beautifully portrayed. To celebrate the first ever Creative Contagion here on Moi TV, I've created a very thematic and timely Lightroom presets collection called #Creative Contagion. Do you want to take a look? Introducing the Lou Candy Mountain preset. Introducing the Lou Candy Mountain preset. For this preset, I compiled the following ideas of living like an old frontier woman, sitting on my porch with my pipe and my gun, singing Big Rock Candy Mountain. To bring this concept into current days, I added tons of soft loo roll inspo. That's right, I'm poking fun at all of the panic buying we've experienced around the world. Introducing Mad Max Selfie. And here is a quote from Mad Max 2 that I used for my inspiration on this preset. I can't really do the Toadie's voice, but here goes, let me try. Greetings from the humongous, the Lord Humongous, the warrior of the wasteland, the Ayatollah of the rock and roller. I first saw Mad Max when I was about 10, and I've been a huge fan ever since. I even visited one of the locations in the Aussie outback when I was backpacking. Imagine any of the desperate fuel-stinking characters stopping for a moment to shoot a selfie. This is what I think it would look like. Introducing Screen Time Square Eyes. I'm hearing so much on TV and online of people jogging about how their screen time report stats have shot up since the international lockdown. I was inspired by that gritty feeling you get in your eyes that ever so slightly blurs your vision from far too much time in front of a screen, with of course a blue light tinge on everything. Introducing Zoom Bomb Bang. I know that most of you watching this episode will probably be used to having Zoom meetings every week as part of running your small businesses. Just last week, Zoom introduced an extra security measure where a password is added to the entrance into a virtual Zoom meeting room because people were Zoom bombing these meetings. Like trolling meets those noisy people we have all encountered and endured in an office scenario. I wanted to get the exact blue from the Zoom logo in this preset. Can you see it? If you've enjoyed my first ever Creative Contagion episode here on Moi TV, then I would like to personally invite you, if you identify as a creative person or to share this episode with anyone else you know who is a creative and is struggling in business. If I get enough interest through the submission link below in the show notes, then we will definitely do another episode like this so that we can shine the spotlight on all of the fantastic creatives and their unique magic sparkles and how we can all support each other right now. If you've never used a Lightroom preset before, especially on your mobile phone, then you probably want to go and watch this episode of Mwah TV, where I give you step-by-step instructions on exactly how you do that. I'll see you next time. Mwah! Now before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah!